So hello everyone, welcome to yet another episode of ACCA's Fireside Chat, and today it's going to be really exciting because today we have Mr. Faisal Mushtaq with us, who is the chairman and CEO of the Millennium Education. Faisal, Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
I'm very fine, thank you very much for the invitation.
Are you excited about being on our show?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to it.
We will start by getting to know you a little bit better, stuff that probably you do not share on other platforms. So we want to get to know who really is Mr. Faisal Mushtaq and how did the journey begin for you, and from where did you grow up, so on and so forth. So
I'm a teaching and learning practitioner, a classroom enthusiast, someone who has been sponsoring social change through literacy, development, training, empowerment, inclusivity, and through authenticity. I was born into a teaching and learning family, so for me, education is by default, not by design. I'm a passionate Pakistani who believes in do-it-yourself and who believe that if we want to see the change, we must be the change that we wish to see.
So Faisal, your father was in the army?
Yeah.
Yep. And so आप तो पूरे पाकिस्तान में मतलब जो army life, because I come from my father's in the army as well. So army जो बच्चे होते हैं families के, they travel obviously with the parents and.
Yeah, I was born in Kharia, Kent,
Oh,
and dad has been in the army and he retired as a colonel. And mom has always been a very passionate practicing Montessorian. She pioneered the first Montessori school in Harley Street in Rawalpindi in 1988. And I remember we were young, and her philosophy was that, when I used to go to school, I used to come back home not happy. Many a times I was crying, and she thought, how could it be? A child goes to a school and the child comes back and there's no happy experience.
Wow.
So she founded her school on the philosophy of home of love, joy and creativity.
Wow.
So her very essential pedagogical philosophy was that it should be a happy experience. So that is how the story of Roots started, and Roots is deeply rooted with the history, culture, ideology and the progress of Pakistan.
Why is it called Roots? Tell us about that.
You see, I say, when the leaves of a tree turn yellow or pale, you don't paint them green, you water the roots. So Roots is very much about holistic education. It is about grooming. It is about Pakistaniyat. It is about counseling. It is about outreach. It is about diversity. It is about inclusion. It is about authenticity. It is about self-actualization. So the school system was founded on the very principles of happy experience, committing ourselves to the then United Nations Development Goals. I remember Millennium Development Goals, and we were the first school to be signatory to the United Nations Action Calendar. All UN days were celebrated from Women Day to World Older Persons Day to Environmental Day to Pollution Day. And so we created a sense of sensitization and empathy within the students that how they need to be inclusive citizens of Pakistan and yet globally connected citizenship and pursuing humanity.
Evidently, Faisal, you're very passionate about education and your own brand, starting from Roots and the Millennium Education, of course. But just hold that thought for a moment. और मुझे बताएं कि you also went to Cadet College, Hassan Abdal. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And am I also correct in assuming कि जो एक boarding school की education होती है, it stays with you. It kind of almost shapes you in the future, जैसे भी आप होते हैं, in your life ahead. So what role did Cadet College, Hassan Abdal play in your life?
All-rounded education, holistic education. It's got to do with grooming, it's got to do with your emotional quotient, your social quotient, your physical quotient. It's got to do with your ability to live beyond your family and to develop a sense of relationship with your fellow cadets and colleagues as well. it was a very different journey for me, just like any other child. You know, that is a very innocent and an adolescent age of grade 8th.
Yeah.
When your parents, first of all, you need to be prepared. It's not easy to get into cadet college, Hassan Abdal. It's a very competitive, merit-driven entry test, and they only pick up 99 best cadets out of it.
What was Faisal like when Faisal entered cadet
my
college?
parents told me, you know, because I always trust my, you know, we all trust our parents, and my mom and my father, they said, well, you know, because my father, he went to Cadet College Petaro, and my Nana, he was the first head boy of Lawrence College. So there was this cultural mix within the family that one of the boys should go to Hassan Abdal. So they prepared me, and I made it, and I went there. But then I went through ragging. It was a very tough environment, and you know, seniors, juniors, and you know, so all this regimented regime from 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock. And then I thought to myself that, you know, no real parents could leave their son or a ward to a hostel, because the kind of ragging that you go through. So once I remember, I got my break, and I went to Lahore to see my grandmother, and I asked my grandmother, I said, I hope I wasn't exchanged in the hospital, and I am the real son. Because you see, the kind of, in the beginning, you know, emotionally you get breakdowns. It takes time to adjust, but by the time you adjust and you realize that those days may be tough and competitive, and the routine is regimented, and of course, you know, it's a military style boarding school with a lot of focus on teaching and learning excellence, some great teachers, and a lot of focus on well-being and all-rounded grooming, discipline, values, courage, and nationhood. But yet now, once you graduate from that the college, and when you go and hit the real life scenario, you feel that you are in a sense of advantage because you are more resilient, you are more agile, you have developed this sense of competition and patience to be able to take pain for the larger good. And I always say to my staff and my students that pain is temporary, pride is permanent. So I think those painful years being a cadet eventually creates a sense of pride for all such Abdalians. And when you look at the alumni and what these amazing Abdalians are doing in all walks of life, and now I sit on the board of governors of the same institute, so I see those amazing and outstanding alumni making a large national, social and business contribution to the society.
So Faisal, I mean, did you get into trouble a lot at the cadet college?
Yeah, a lot of times, you know, all these friends, you know, because they always say the three kinds of advices one gets. One advice is by the friends, other one is by the family, and third one is by the fools. So I had lots of friends and fools around me. So there have been lots of troubles, and you know, like we had our own
Any story you want to share?
Oh, there are lots of stories, you know, I don't want to say anything because then some people may be offended. But we did all kinds of stuff, and we did take our size of punishments. Gee, there was bunking, and there was a lot of punishment as well, and we got a lot of ragda and caning, and we got a lot of punishment. At that time, you know, we did not have laws for corporal punishment.
So after that, after cadet college, you then what happened? Where'd you go?
Well, you know, after cadet college, I went to pursue a degree in the UK.
Okay.
First, I did a University of London, a year for diploma in economics, and then I went and pursued a degree in accounting and finance from the United Kingdom. I did very well. I got a 2:1 degree in honours, and then I applied for jobs for the undergraduate positions
in the UK.
So I was very lucky. Now, although I applied to 20, 25, 30 employers, but one of the most competitive ones, I always tell this to my students and my colleagues, that you know, the PricewaterhouseCoopers consulting division, they had 90 vacancies in the city of London because they take a lot of kids for audit and compliance and whatever. But the PricewaterhouseCoopers audit division had 99 vacancies, and consulting division only had 11 vacancies. So, you know, I got into the PwC consulting in the city of London. So I started from number 1 Embankment, then number 1 London Bridge. They invested a lot in my personal development. So for the 5 years that I've worked in London, I worked with clients like BBC, Home Office, Shell, departments of work and pension, Ministry of Defense, the Equitable Life Assurance Society, and many such brands in the United Kingdom. So there's a lot of exposure, lot of learning, and a lot of understanding of how world is working.
Wow. So accountancy and finance, that's basically your background. So what role do you think it has played in your business today, in your life today? Do you think it helped you in any way?
Yeah, I think degree in every way, may that be psychology or sociology or accounting or finance. I became an accountant just because my mom wanted me to be, and that is where a lot of counseling and advice is missing. And I remember once my Ammi, she went to Singapore and she was there visiting my khala, and she met a neighbor and she was married to an accountant. So somehow that Pakistani neighbor told my mom that these accountants are very good people. They keep their wives happy and they also keep their mothers happy. So my mom, she picked up this notion कि बेटे को accountant बनाते हैं so that both the wife and the mother could be happy.
Faisal, what really angers you and frustrates you?
Mediocrity. For people's lack of ability to think differently, inability to think out of box, lack of creativity, lack of compassion, lack of empathy, lack of authenticity, lack of actualization. I mean, you can't work in today's Pakistan with those traditional narratives. For example, we are teaching our children 18th century curriculum in the Pakistani education system with 19th century teachers and with 20th century practices and pedagogical skills. It's dated. Your children, they want a modern, progressive, inclusive curriculum based on skills, based on values which can create entrepreneurial mindset in an ecosystem. So what we are teaching them is traditional, it's not relevant, and you feel by imposing a single curriculum or a certain set of objectives, you will achieve a singular common national mindset? No. You do not need a single national curriculum. You do not need a singularity in curriculum. You need pluralism in outcome. So what that means is that we do need unity in learning outcomes, not uniformity in teaching practices.
Based on whatever you've just said, Faisal, what
in your opinion is the future of one education and the future of workforce?
Future of education and workforce is all interdependent, interconnected. This would be one world, one school. It will be one world, one humanity. Borders will play less of a role, and I think classrooms will have a far more influential role. How do we shape the society? First thing is we need to move away from testing, preparing our children for grades, cracking their grades. We need to move away from grades to grounds. Back to the old school, जैसे हमारे बुजुर्ग कहते थे, those grounds in the school. We really need to move. Testing, we need to move away from testing to progression and to assignments. We need to include compassion, we need to include empathy, and we need to include inclusivity and also teach diversity.
So do you see that the way in which we learn, जिससे हम used to हैं, do you think that is going to change?
They already changed. The classrooms are disruptive. You don't expect this regimented, saturated, factory modeled, non-scientific, inhumane curriculum, teaching practices and standards of school systems in Pakistan and Asia. Do you think they have any impact on the child today? No. Just recently I hosted the largest teacher development conference,
yes, of course,
and it was themed as 35 minutes. So the focus is not on teaching anymore, the focus is on learning. It's not important what we teach. What is important is what young learners and young children are learning. So what is really important and critical is that content, it is that curriculum, it is that pedagogy, and it is that framework, that what kind of values and set of objectives that do we want to sponsor through education.
So Faisal, when you wake up in the morning, what drives you? Is it the business side of things? Is it the entrepreneurial spirit that you have? Is it when you speak about, driving change in society and being a force for public good? What really drives Faisal Mushtaq? What is it that you think of when you wake up in the morning, you go in your bathroom, you have a look at yourself in the mirror? What is that fire? What is it?
The choices that you make, the chances that you take, and the change that you can create. I always say life is about 3 C's: choices, chances, and change. There is no regret. Every morning I wake up and I look forward to the day. I feel that today is my choice. Today is by choice and a chance so that I can sponsor change. I look forward creating more jobs. I look forward making a social difference. So look, what do? I'm one of those lucky ones that I wake up, I go to a school, even today. My wife goes to the school as she works in the company. My children go to the school. My driver goes to the school. My staff goes to the school. So this is an entire family which goes to a school. So for us, school is not a destination. It is a journey.
Wow.
Every day I'm meeting people, amazing Pakistanis, young people, a lot of expats coming back. People call it brain drain. I call it brain drain. A lot of young Pakistanis, they go abroad and study on these scholarships and these self-funded programs. They all are coming back. They say about Pakistan, you can take a Pakistani out of Pakistan, but you can never take that Pakistan out of that Pakistani. So
Rightly
every
said.
day I look forward meeting new people. I learn from them. I have these casual conversations. I want to create digital change, and I have created digital platforms, social change, training, capacity building. I sit on boards. I'm doing a lot of philanthropy, sustainable work. I have a foundation. We have reformed 225 government schools through public-private partnerships. So what is this foundation? Change in education. C stands for curriculum for government schools, and H stands for help through teacher training for government schools. A stands for assessments and exam improvement in government schools. N stands for nutrition for government schools. G stands for gender equality in government schools, and E stands for education for all. This is stuff that I've done. And then I go to the school, I connect with my students, they are my friends. I don't sit in an office. I ain't a CEO, means executive officer. I'm the chief energy officer. My students call me Sir Red Bull.
Lovely. So Faisal, I mean, thousands and thousands of parents all across from Khyber to Karachi, they have entrusted their children every single day, their learning, their development on your shoulders, basically. Any pressure? How do you feel about it?
No, it's the trust. You see, trust has certain values. Parents, teachers, your stakeholders, like anyone else, when they trust you, then they need respect. They need their voice to be heard, and then they also need some sort of a realization that their expectations and their investment in their children's future is making value and sense.
So Faisal, I mean, keeping in view, your own personality, your own sort of achievements, you can be the voice. Are you sitting on any platform where you are advising the government how they can bridge the gap, how they can improve the educational system in this country?
Dekhi ji, I must say openly on this discussion, I have been a victim of age discrimination. And this country is not very fair unless and until you don't lose your hair, you have no white hair, and the age is not on your side.
The story about your Tamga Imtiaz.
I mean,
you are the youngest, one of the youngest.
I did. It was a very humbling experience, but even though when the state and the government of Pakistan was giving me this national knighthood of one of the highest national civil awards, today I have been from classroom practitioners. I sat on the cabinet in the interim government of Punjab. I was the minister for school education, for human rights, for population, social welfare, and Baitul Mal. And so I am also in all meetings and discussions. So I'm one of those Pakistanis. I've sat on both sides of the table, from the public sector practitioners and the policy maker, and to the private sector as a facilitator and a change maker. So I understand. However, one can only advise to an extent that how much they are willing to. But I must accept that government is very inclusive these days. They do listen they have these meetings. So there's this National Curriculum Council. So the government, they do invite all stakeholders. They listen to your view. There's a lot of public-private partnership going within certain quarters, regulatory regimes. Overall, Pakistanis, as a national good, the system has become very empathetic. I must accept there's a lot of humility at the public sector level as well, because now in Pakistan, people don't fancy people with power or with flags or with institutional pride. People fancy those people whose heart is at the right place, how empathetic they are, how connected they are. So I do contribute. Yes, they do include us in their conversations, but are those conversations able to create conversion? That is a challenge and a question. Conversation versus a conversion. Since I also sit on the board of governors of Worldwide Fund for Nature, so one of our director generals, he says that conservation without money is just conversation.
Wow.
So similarly, in education and literacy and in terms of the national policy making framework, so you do need budget, you need resources, you need like-minded people, and then you need to transform it. Government can easily bring change through public-private partnerships just because they are afraid it will become a subject in media and television, and they will think that these private schools have taken over even the public provision, so that is why they are reluctant. Secondly, all they need are three things: skill, will, and bill. The government needs the skilled people, the right educationists on their side, which they know who they are in the country, both in the public, private, development and the scholarly sector. They need a political will. Without a political will, nation states can't go through this journey of literacy, education and development. And then they need someone to pay the bill. Not someone, the provincial government and the federal government and the taxpayers' money should pay that bill. So it's a story of skill, will and bill, so that we can have 100% literacy and education.
One thing you could
Change about Pakistan.
Education, education and education. Absolutely. You cannot become the inclusive knowledge society. Though I do a lot of work on CPAC, but I always say, for me, the citizens of Pakistan, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor should fundamentally, it should be called the Citizens of Pakistan Education Corridor. So for me, CPEC means Citizens of Pakistan Education Corridor. Unless and until you don't create an equal opportunity. Remember, whenever I talk, people look at me, they would look at my scarf, they will look at me, they will say, hey, a private sector entrepreneur, he may have motives to make profits. Yes, I do make profits, but I profit the society. And I take pride in that. All these jobs that we create, we are the largest taxpayers. The future that we sponsor is going to shape the Pakistan that we wish to see. The heart is at the right place. The head is moving in the right place. All we see, include us, be inclusive, and learn from the experiences and the best practices. And I'm not alone. There are a lot of real champions and heroes in Pakistan all around us.
Who is your hero and a champion in Pakistan for Faisal?
Oh, no, but not for me personally, but the private sector I meant to say.
Do you have a hero or somebody?
Oh, absolutely. I strongly believe in Quaid-e-Azam's Muhammad Ali Jinnah's vision and Allama Iqbal's philosophy and ideology. I think the two main people, one went to England, other went to Germany. They both went abroad and came back and founded this Mamlakat-e-Riyasat-e Khudadad-e Falai Jamhuri Pakistan. And today people come and tell me that children should not go abroad. It ain't brain drain, it's brain gain. When you send people, they understand the perspective, they understand the ideology, they come back. So if I believe, I have a strong belief and in the vision of my founder Muhammad Ali Jinnah, but somehow I feel it's not truly reflected in our practices, both in government or in the development sector, in the public policies, in the social policy, and even in the education system. Just teaching children Quaid-e-Azam's 14 Nikat and just talking about Shikwa and Jawab-e-Shikwa is not enough. You need to teach the concept of self-actualization. Education today has to go beyond, it has to go into practice, then policy.
On success, you've already achieved a lot. So if I was to ask you, Faisal, 5 years down the line, what's your vision, or 10 years down the line, what's next? What do you really want to achieve in life? before you retire?
The only thing that's constant in today's time and age is change itself.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've learned from you. And so if I do want to see myself, I want to see things doing differently. You know, so I'm the largest, custodian of transnational education in Pakistan. For many decades, we talked about, hey, let's go to Malaysia. Prime Minister Mahathir's vision, they have international universities. Hey, let's go to China. They have UK universities. Monash has a campus in Indonesia. Let's go to Sri Lanka, or let's go to other country. But no one bothered. I am the one who brought University of London International Provision to Pakistan. And then we have University of Creative Arts, and we have University of Hertfordshire and Royal Holloway. And then we work in a very passionate way with the ACCA, with also business skills and vocational qualifications. So going forward, I see a more larger and a more holistic provision for international campus, which should attract students from within the region. For the classroom education, my focus is on teacher education, teacher development and the professional development. Curriculum, content, delivery, pedagogy, philosophy, framework, roadmap, practices, all done. Digitalization, learning management systems, all done. Now my next focus is, how do I invest in teaching pedagogies and teaching understanding? On this note, I must say to your audience and to my fellow colleagues across the country or wherever in the world they are, I always say that around the world, that if you have one wrong engineer, the bridge collapses, 200 people would die. You have one wrong pilot, the plane would crash, 300 people would die. You have one wrong doctor, the patient dies. And if you have one wrong teacher, a generation is buried. So for me, working on teachers, their professional development, their skills, their perspective, making them go through that journey of training, of reflection, of understanding what education is, both as an art or as a science, is my challenge.
So, Faisal, you've been associated with ACCA. I mean, your organization has. How has your experience been?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, you are the guys, you taught us the word, what is journey? I mean, you know, student journey and student experience. You taught us that, look, you know, for us to create the future of accountancy, we need authentic, real-minded and professional young accountants with integrity and with equal opportunity. And you also told us that how do you need to create that culture within your teaching and learning ecosystem, so that students, they're connected with the industry, they have more exposure with the skills that they need, like technology or interpersonal or language skills, and to create accountants with a sense of pride, integrity, and a realization that how important their role is going to be for the global economy.
Ethics and integrity, these two words.
Fundamental, interlinked. Integrity promotes ethics, ethics linked to integrity. Integrity is extremely important for each and every one across the world, and not just for accountants, but also for politicians, also for individuals, citizens, taxpayers. Integrity, self-respect, it's very important. Ethics is something which needs to be taught, because you can't just learn through your experiences, and ethics need to be taught as a subject both in school, and then it has to be linked with values and citizenship, and especially at the level when we are producing accountants. TMUC is a great beneficiary of the support of ACCA Pakistan and ACCA Worldwide has given, and today we proudly say that we are incubating, or we are teaching a whole generation of accountants which is going to shape the future of Pakistan, and likewise shall benefit from the China-Pakistan economic corridor as well. One thing I really appreciate about ACCA, it's its commitment to teacher education and professional development, your standards for academic compliance, your integrity for quality assurance, assurance of provision, and your integrity of your international exams. It makes you stand out as compared to any other professional body, and your relevance of your curriculum and subjects is connected to the expectations of the global economy.
Faisal, you engage with students and parents almost on a daily level. Daily आपका उनसे interaction होता होगा, and they must sort of hear you out. Is there any specific message that you would want to give the employers in Pakistan or globally, जो CEOs हैं, जो corporate sector में हमारी तरह के लोग हैं? Is there any message that you would like to relay and pass on to them?
Well, the message is that please kindly move out of degrees and expectations that what school these children attended and what was the qualification and the credibility of the degree. You need to look at skills, you need to look at interpersonal skills, you need to look at them as individuals and their personality, because if you want game-changing ideas, if you want innovations in your telcos, in your financial sector, in your microfinance, if you want to create more of SaaS programs, if you want to create more of social enterprises like Akhuwat, if you want to create more of microfinance, and if you want to create more of change and give back to society, I'm sorry, elitism and degreeism shall not matter. What will matter is the individuality, their empathy, and their authenticity, and to what extent they have the skills to be able to create opportunity and to help you pay your bill.
Thank you so much, Faisal. It has been absolutely a pleasure to have you on our ACCA's Fireside Chat, and looking forward to having you with us again. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.